Welcome to the Self-Trust Frequency, Episode 5. Today we're going to talk about claiming your space, the actual spaces you operate and live and work in, and how to do energy clearings in these spaces, as well as setting an energetic intention. So thank you so much for being here. You're welcome to go back and catch up on episodes on YouTube and Spotify. So, in this podcast, I love to talk about how you are a soul incarnated on earth. And I am here to encourage you and cheer you on in claiming your soul expression, getting comfortable with self-trust, and surfing that really groovy frequency. When you are actively stepping into that expression, having your surroundings support you actually helps immensely in that process. So when you are clearing your environment, tending your environment, you are claiming your space. You're creating sanctuaries, spaces that make you feel worthy and valuable, spaces that bring inspiration, and spaces that carry your unique frequency. So you are adding your own flavor to these sanctuary spaces. And doing this for your entire home or your office all at once can feel incredibly overwhelming. So for today, we're keeping it really grounded and actionable, just very doable. What I do is I focus on one small space once a week. Maybe it's not even a whole room. So I'll get more into that. And one of the things that why I was inspired to have this be the topic this week is that you are bringing your own frequency and soul blueprint and sacred work into the world. And that's a lot of work. And so having your space and your environment that influences you, holds you up, lets you rest, reflect your frequency back to you, reflect loving high frequency energy for you to be around, for you to feel calmed and soothed by the spaces you're in, it only serves you. So let's get into how I do this. And I'm going to try to break it down into really digestible steps. So what I try to do each week is take one space and make it as aesthetically pleasing as possible. And if this is a place in your house, that's great. If it is a place if you're trying to maybe create an office or a sanctuary where you can do meditation, where you can do your soul work, you can really apply this anywhere. You can apply it to a messy kids' room. You can apply it to your dream office space where you can do your dream work. So my golden rule for doing these space clearings and intention settings is I literally ignore all other messes or projects and focus entirely on this one little space. And I would go for 45 minutes to an hour. So for instance, if I'm going to focus on my living room because it's gotten cluttered with my kids' stuff and I want to walk out of my bedroom and feel calm and clear the energy, I will ignore messes on the kitchen table. I will ignore messes elsewhere. I'm going to pick my area of focus. And so I'm going to just give a little preface here. I'm going to go through these very, very practical steps. And I encourage you to turn on music, make it fun, get lost in it. But the preface I have for you is when you are curating your space, you're claiming your space, you're taking up space. And so I want your soul expression to be in the space. So as you're doing this work in your space, I also encourage you to go bold, go a little wild, get art that really resonates with your soul. Maybe invest in a little interior decorating. If your thing is minimalism, then focus on that. If your really drawn to big, loud colors, do that. This is all about having your space reflect your inside back at you, if that makes sense. Okay, so let's get into these really practical steps. So, phase one, what I do is clear and clean. So, I pick a small enough space that I can tidy it and clean it thoroughly, paying attention, and this is an energetic clearing principle, to disused corners. Anything like stale or gross, tiny little corners, even the molding. And if you have a house cleaner and you choose to invest your money in getting your house cleaned, more power to you. I happen to do this myself, but you can always direct your house cleaner to the area you want to work on and the level of detail. But the goal here is to make a space for yourself that feels beautifully clean and lovely to be in, that makes you feel valuable and at ease, and that there's actually a lot of possibility. I open a window at this point to let stagnant energy leave. So just imagine thoughts and consciousness are energy. And so we're letting all that clutter go. We're resetting the energy of the space. I usually like to make it smell good. So I'll put on an aromatherapy diffuser. I'll use a natural cleanser that has some sort of natural, like aromatherapy scent. And so let's say you have this clean space with the windows open. I bring in elements and joy. And this kind of goes back to just, it's like, I feel like throwing your energy at the space. So I do this in small ways because I have kids and I need to like make this very practical, but I will use nature elements. So I will go out into the yard and collect a wild bouquet. It might even have sticks and weeds, but just as beautiful like nature wild bouquet as I can, because bringing nature into the space is just really brings in a really beautiful healing element. I'll make a little altar on the table I'll light my candles. Maybe I'll put a little gift from a friend, and maybe spend some time in the living room, for my example, arranging the pillows so that it feels really inviting to sit there. So I always kind of bring some intuitively chosen elements into the space. Um, Again, the kind of how you decorate the space, I feel like handmade art, so woodworking, painting, ceramics, it brings in this extra beautiful, just creative energy, bringing in anything that vibrates on your frequency. You're super drawn to it. And I think about the elements: fire, water, earth, air. And then we're going to bring in spirit. And so for fire, I usually light a candle. For water, you can have a small dish of water, or you can have the water in your flowers. For earth, I bring in the flowers or sticks or crystals. For air, we have this open window, and I sometimes can turn the fan on. So the idea is to pick things that bring you joy and intuitively feel good for the space. So you can kind of think through, if you are creating a sanctuary for yourself to meditate and do your soul work, that's one thing. If you're doing this to kind of go over a space in your house to make it feel good to live in it, you can see how you can apply it in slightly different ways. And I always find that when I'm adding like little gifts from friends or family in there, little photographs, it brings in all of this, anything that gives you this positive flood of emotion. And let's see, I would add here that I usually will do a smoke cleanse. So thinking about the energy of a space, just collecting everything over time. You might even feel like it's kind of another topic, but if you feel like you have spirits in your house or like an energy that you don't love in your house, the smoke cleansing is really good. It also is just this idea of getting rid of clutter. So I love Palo Santo. I'll also do incense or sage. And I have somebody who told me, a Reiki practitioner, even does it in drawers, but getting every corner. And the thing is, I don't pick a big space because I want to give the space so much love. It's like I'm going to clean the crevices of things so that I'm no longer living in filth, even if it's hidden, like been hidden in these corners or on the baseboards. I want to lovingly Palo Santo everything. And so it's really like kind of a micro practice, however much time and energy you have. But even if you're doing this in your working space, it's helpful um, to do energy cleanses, to bring in elements of things that you enjoy, and then the people like your clients or the people who come into your space, they'll innately enjoy it. Sea salt is really powerful for energy cleansing, so you can put little bowls of sea salt by the windows or on your table altar. Some people get the salt lamps. My cousin had these beautiful crystals and also big hunks of like pink Himalayan salt at her wedding. So I have this big, beautiful hunk of pink salt, like a crystal, that I'll put in my space sometimes. So let's talk about the spirit part of it. So first we talked about the cleaning, then we talked about the bringing elements of joy. So now we're going to talk about spirituality and kind of listening to the space. So spend some time just calmly meditating in the space, feeling what sort of energy is in the space, and your intuition will guide you. What does the space need and what do you want to use the space for? And depending on what modalities or spirituality you practice, you're going to want to call that into the space. So I will call in angels and loving energy. If you work with saints or any other guides or, fairies, whatever it is, I will bring in a blessing on the space, high frequency, loving energy, the highest intention for all. You're just bringing this attention from source into this space for just the highest outcome for anyone who's in that space. And sometimes the space will tell you what it needs. So a little example is that when I did a clearing in my daughter's room, she had finished a year in elementary school and it's just so busy and it's like so fun, but it's like so hectic. And so I did a big clearing because it was summer and it was like, let's just reset. I honor everything that we've been through this past year. And my attention was really drawn. It was like spirit drew me to her bookshelf. And so it was like cultivating her bookshelf. Like I'm responsible for kind of her mental development. So I spent a little time there. It's just a little bit of intention setting. It'll kind of tell you, the room will speak to you. Okay, so this fourth phase is this spiritual activation and protection, really moving into that. So I invite universal chi into this space. I imagine it flowing through. I practice qigong and reiki. So basically chi is just anything that animates life on earth. So you can just imagine it pouring through in a beautiful way. You can imagine heaven chi coming through. This is usually a white light energy. Earth chi coming through, a yellow energy. And I will put Reiki symbols on the walls, not literally. I'll draw them in the air with my hand, in the ceiling. You can have sacred geometry in the space. You can imagine it. You're kind of imprinting it on the walls and ceiling. This just raises the vibration and sending the whole space loving energy. And I'll just pause here because one of the things I really love is you might do this and kind of feel a little cray just doing this to your space and creating it as you like, decorating as you like. And then it's like funny because people will love to spend time in this space. So my office is very soothing because I've worked really hard on that. And then also like my living room, if I'll do a clearing, it's like suddenly my kids are hanging out there a lot more. So you're drawing people to these like good vibrations. Okay, so I will then do a few steps from angelic Reiki from my own practice, and I'll just share those with you. So Archangel Michael has a golden dome of protection. So I imagine placing that over the space. It transmutes lower vibrational energy, clears clutter. It actually kind of can shield and block your space from things that have just that you're not wanting to attract that aren't aligned. And in angelic Reiki, there's a platinum net. So platinum's the highest frequency metal. So in angelic Reiki, you place a platinum net over your space and sweep it through your space. And it feels very clearing and beautiful and glittery. And sometimes I'll call in Archangel Jophiel, an angel of art and beauty, to bring warmth to the space. So that's kind of everything I have for you because I want to keep it short and doable. But if you have any questions or want to share how you are using your space or how this looks for you, feel free to comment below and I'd love to respond. If there's more on this that you want me to go into, I'd be happy to. I do think that I'd like to speak more about when I've done Reiki on a business and what I felt there. So I can share that in future ones. And also when I've done Reiki on spaces that seem to have kind of like energies that people don't like. So whether it's spirits and just, it's like you kind of do this, but with more umph and intention, and you send things to the light. And in the case of the energy of the space spoke to us, and it was actually experiencing some nature grief because I realized the whole development had been built and it kind of cut off this forest that was behind the building and in front of the building. And so they had been having a lot of problems. So I do think that this energy clearing and protection and listening to the space and Reiki on the space, all of these things, it does have some really practical purposes. For this podcast and the self-trust frequency and your soul mission, my primary goal in sharing this today is that I want the spaces you operate in to just remind you of how special you are, remind you of just pure creative expression coming through you. So don't be afraid to just, like I said, go a little wild, do what you love. If you love pink, like maybe you paint, maybe you do a big accent wall, a beautiful rose pink, maybe you put up some wallpaper. It's interesting because each person gets to do it their own way. You don't have to invest a lot. You don't have to get a lot into interior decorating. You can go more into that intentional altar setting, intention setting, energy clearing. So this is just a topic I really love, and there's so many directions you can go with it. So feel free to just let me know how it resonates for you. I'm Suzanne. I drop the Self-Trust Frequency podcast every week on YouTube and Spotify, and I am a Reiki master in Texas. I see clients virtually, so you're always welcome to message me to get on the wait list for that, and I just really appreciate you being here. Take care.